Miss Worthing. How are you, my dear Ernest? What brings you up to town?
Oh, pleasure. Pleasure! What else should bring one anywhere? Eating as usual, I see, Algy?
I believe it is customary in good society to have a slight refreshment at 5 o'clock. Where have you been since last Thursday?
In the country.
What on earth do you do there?
When one is in town, one amuses oneself. When one is in the country, one amuses other people. It is excessively boring.
And who are the people that you amuse?
Oh, neighbours. Neighbours!
Got nice neighbours in your part of Shropshire.
Perfectly horrid. Never speak to one of them.
How immensely you must amuse them. By the way, Shropshire is your county.
Shropshire, yes. Of course. Hello. Why all these cups? Why, cucumber sandwiches? Why such reckless extravagance in one so young? Who is coming to tea?
Merely Aunt Augusta and Gwendolen.
Whew, how delightful.
Yes, that is all very well and good, but I'm afraid Aunt Augusta won't quite approve of your being.
Might I ask why?
My dear boy, the way you flirt with Gwendolen is perfectly disgraceful. It is nearly as bad as the way Gwendolen flirts with you.
I am in love with Gwendolen. In fact, I've come up to town expressly to propose to her.
I thought you would come up for pleasure. I call that business.
How utterly unromantic you are.
I really don't see anything romantic about proposing. It is very romantic to be loved, but there is nothing romantic about a definite proposal. Why, one may be accepted. One usually is, I believe. Then the excitement is all over. The very essence of romance is uncertain. If I ever get married, I will certainly try to forget the fact.
I have no doubt of that, dear Algy. The divorce court was specially invented for people whose memories are so curiously constituted.
There is no use arguing that subject, my dear fellow. Divorces were made in heaven. Oh, please, don't touch the cucumber sandwiches. They were ordered especially for Aunt Augusta.
You've been eating them all the time. That is a very different matter.
She is my aunt. Here, have the bread and butter. The bread and butter is Gwendolen. Gwendolen is devoted to bread and butter.
Very good bread and butter it is, too.
Well, my dear fellow, you need not eat if you were going to eat at all. You behave as if you were married to her already. You are not married to her already, and I don't think you ever shall be.
Why on earth do you say that?
Well, in the first place, girls don't marry men in that way. Girls don't think it right.
Oh, that is nonsense.
Is it? It is a great proof that accounts for the extraordinary number of bachelors one sees all over the place. In the second place, I don't give my consent.
Oh, your consent!
Gwendolen is one of my dearest friends. And before I allow you to marry her, you will have to clear up the whole question with Cecily.
What is the name of Cecily?
Bring me that phone case that Mr. Worthing left in the dining room the last time you see us. Yes, sir.
Do you mean to say that you've had my phone case all this time? I wish to goodness you would have let me know. I've been writing frantic emails to Scotland Yard about it. I was very nearly offering a large reward.
I wish you would offer one. I happen to be more than usually hard up.
Well, there's no good offering a large reward now that the thing is found.
Well, I think that is rather mean, I must say. However, now that I look at the inscription inside, I find that the thing isn't yours after all.
Of course it's mine. You've seen me with it 100 times. You have no right whatsoever to read what is written inside. It is a very ungentlemanly thing to read a private phone case.
It is absurd to have a hard and fast rule about what one should read and what one shouldn't. More than half of one's culture depends on what one shouldn't read.
I agree, but I don't propose to discuss modern culture. It isn't the sort of thing one should talk of in private. I just want my phone case back.
Yes, but this is not your phone case. This phone case is a present from someone of the name of Cecily. And you said you didn't know anyone with that name.
Well, if you must know, Cecily happens to be my aunt.
Your aunt?
Yes. Lovely old lady she is, too. Lives at Tunbridge Wells. Just give it back to me, Algy.
Yes, but why does she call herself Little Cecily if she is your aunt and lives at Tunbridge Wells?
My good fellow, what on earth is there in that? Some aunts are tall, some aunts are not so tall. That surely is a matter that an aunt might decide for herself. You seem to think every aunt should be exactly like your own. That is absurd. Now, for heaven's sake, give me back my phone case.
Yes, but why support your uncle? From little Cecily with her fondest love to her dear Uncle Jack. There is no objection, I admit, to an aunt being a small aunt, but why an aunt, no matter what her size may be, should call her own nephew her uncle, I can't quite make out. Besides, your name isn't Jack at all. It is Ernest.
Well, it isn't Ernest. It is Jack.
You've always told me it was Ernest. You behave as if you were called Ernest. You look as if your name was Ernest. You are one of the most earnest-looking people I've ever seen in my life. It is perfectly absurd you say your name isn't Ernest. I have you in my phone as Ernest. Look. Ernest Worthing, B4, B Albany. I'll keep this as proof. If you ever attempt to deny that your name is Ernest to me, or to Gwendolen, or to anyone else.
Well, my name is Ernest in town and Jack in the country. And the phone case was given to me in the country.
Yes, but that does not account for the fact that your small Aunt Cecily, who lives at Tunbridge Wells, calls you her dear uncle. Come, boy. You would much better have the thing out at once.
My dear Algernon, you talk exactly as if you were a dentist. It is very vulgar to talk like a dentist, especially when one isn't a dentist. It produces a false impression.
Well, that is exactly what dentists always do. Now, tell me, why are you Ernest in town and Jack in the country? I must say, I've always suspected you of being a Bunburyist. I'm quite sure of it now.
Oh, me? You calling me what on earth does that mean?
I'll reveal to you the meaning of that incomparable expression as soon as you are kind enough to inform me why you were Ernest in town and Jack in the country.
Well, produce my phone case first.
Here it is. Now, produce your tale. Pray, give me the problem.
Oh, my dear Algie, there is nothing improbable about my answer at all. Old Mr. Thomas Cardew, who adopted me when I was very little, made me in his will guardian to his granddaughter Cecily. Miss Cecily Cardew, who addresses me as her uncle for motives of respect that you cannot possibly appreciate, lives at my place in the country under the charge of her admirable governess, Miss Prism.
Where is that place in the country, by the way?
That is nothing to you, dear boy. You are not going to be invited. Though, I will tell you candidly, the place is not in Shropshire.
I suspected that, my dear Barnett. I've Bunburyed all over Shropshire on 2 separate occasions. Now, tell me, why are you Ernest in town and Jack in the country?
Dear young friend, I don't know whether you'll be able to understand my real motives. You're hardly serious. When one is placed in the position of guardian, one has to adopt a very high moral tone. It's one's duty to do so. And as a high moral tone can hardly be said to be conducive to either one's health or one's happiness, I invented a younger brother of the name of Ernest, who lives in the Albany and gets into the most dreadful scrapes. That is the whole truth, pure and simple.
The truth is rarely pure and never simple. Modern life would be very tedious if it were either. Modern literature a complete impossibility.
That wouldn't be at all a bad thing.
Literary criticism is not your forte, my dear lad. Don't you try it. What you really are is a Bunburyist. It's quite right in saying you're a Bunburyist. One of the most advanced Bunburyists I know.
Now, what on earth do you mean?
You have invented a... You want to talk to me about it. I want to tell you the rules.
Oh, I'm not a Bunburyist at all. If Gwendolen accepts me, I'll kill my brother. Indeed, I think I'll kill him in any case. Cecily is getting a little too much interested in him. It is rather a bore. So, I'll kill my brother. And I recommend that you do the same with your with your England-friendly absurd name.
Nothing will induce me to part with Bunbury. And if you ever get married, it seems to me to be extremely problematic. It would be much better with you, Bunbury. A man who marries without you, Bunbury, has a very tedious time.
If I marry a charming girl like Gwendolen, and she is the only girl I ever saw in my life that I would marry, I certainly won't want to know Bunbury.
Then your wife will. You don't seem to understand that in married life, 3 is company and 2 is none.
That is the theory that the corrupt French drama has been propounding for the last 15 years.
Yes, but a happy English home has proven half the time.
Oh, don't try to be cynical. It's perfectly easy to be cynical.
My dear fellow, it isn't easy to be anything nowadays. There's such a load of beastly competition about. If there were reasons in that by having so much incredible. Now, if I can 10 minutes most awaited, I must be at Willis's tonight.
Well, I suppose so, if you want to.
Yes, but you must be serious about it. I hate it when people are not serious about their meals. It's so shallow. Lady Bracknell and Miss Fairfax.
Good afternoon, dear Algernon. I hope you're behaving very well.
I'm feeling very well, Aunt Augusta.
That's hardly the same thing. In fact, the two things rarely go together.
Dearly, you are smart.
I'm always smart. Am I not, Mr. Welling?
Oh, you are quite perfect, Miss Fairfax.
Oh, I hope I'm not that. Would leave no room for development, and I intend to develop in many ways.
I'm sorry if we are a little late, Algernon. I was obliged to call over the Lady Harvey. I haven't been there since a 400 yet. I've never seen a woman so old. She looks quite 20 years younger. And now I have one of those nice cucumber sandwiches you promised me and
Yes, Aunt Augusta.
Gwendolen, dear, won't you come sit down? Gwendolen, dear.
Oh, I'm quite comfortable where I am now. Thank you.
Good heavens, lady! Why are there no cucumber sandwiches? I ordered them especially. There were no cucumbers in the market this morning, sir. I went down twice. No cucumbers? No, sir. Not even for ready money. That will do, lady. Thank you, sir. I'm greatly distressed, Aunt Augusta, about there being no cucumbers, not even for ready money.
It really makes no matter, Algernon. I had some crumpets with Lady Harbury, who seems to me to be getting entirely at pleasure now.
I hear her hair has turned quite golden green.
It certainly has changed colour, but from what Paul will say, I've quite the treat for you tonight, Algernon. I intend to send you down to Mary Farquhar. She's so nice and attentive to her husband. It's delightful to watch them.
I'm afraid I'll have to give up the pleasure of dining with you tonight, Aunt Augusta.
I do hope not, but my table is completely out. The poor uncle will have to dine upstairs. Fortunately, he is.
It is a terrible disappointment, and I need hardly say a great bore to me, but I have just received a text saying that my poor friend Bunbury is very ill again. The doctor seemed to think that I should be with you.
That is very strange. This Mr. Bunbury seems to suffer from notoriously bad health.
Yes, Bunbury is a dreadful invalid.
Well, I think it's high time that this Mr. Bunbury made up his mind whether he was going to live or die. This shilly-shallying with the question is absurd. I do not approve that modern sympathy with invalids is morbid. Illness of any kind is hardly...
Lovely day it is to meet Miss Fairfax.
Oh, pray, don't talk to me about the weather, Mr. Welling. Never someone mentions the weather to me. Never anything else.
But I do mean something else.
I thought so. In fact, I am never wrong.
I would like to be allowed to take care of Lady Bracknell's temporary absence, and I would like to...
I would certainly advise you to do so. Mamma has a habit of coming back into the room that I often have to speak to her about.
Gwendolen, ever since I have met you, I have admired you more than any girl I've ever met since I met you.
Yes, I'm quite well aware of the fact, and I wish that in public, at any rate, you'd been more demonstrative. You see, Mr. Worthing, you've always had an irresistible fascination to me. I've been far from indifferent to you even before I met you. We live, as you know, in an age of ideals. The fact is constantly mentioned in more expensive monthly magazines, and has reached provincial pulpits, I'm told. And my ideal has been to love someone named Ernest. There's something in that name that inspires absolute confidence. And when Algernon told me he had a friend called Ernest, I just knew I was destined to love you.
You really love me?
Passionately.
Gwendolen, you don't know how happy you've made me.
My own Ernest.
But you don't mean to say that you couldn't love me if my name wasn't Ernest?
But your name is Ernest.
Yes, but supposing it was something else. Do you mean to say you couldn't love me then?
That is clearly a metaphysical speculation, and like most metaphysical speculations of our time, have no actual relation to the actual facts of life as we know them.
Well, really, Gwendolen, to speak frankly, I don't care much for the name Ernest. I don't think it suits me at all.
It suits you perfectly. It is a divine name. It has a music of its own. It uses vibrations.
Well, surely, Gwendolen, there must be much nicer names out there. I think, for instance, Jack, a very charming name.
Jack. No. No. There is no music in the name Jack. It does not thrill. It produces no vibrations. I have known quite many Jacks, and they've all been more than usually plain. Besides, Jack is notorious domesticity for John. I pity any woman married to a man called John. She is surely to never know the single moment's pleasure of entrancing silence. Besides, the only safe name is Ernest.
Gwendolen? Oh, I must get christened at once. I mean, we must get married at once! There's no time to be lost!
Married, Mr. Worthing?
Surely! You know that I love you, and you led me to believe Miss Fairfax, and you were not completely indifferent to me.
I adore you, but you haven't even proposed to me yet. The topic has not even been talked about. The subject of marriage hasn't even been breached upon.
Well, may I propose to you now?
I think it is an admirable opportunity, and to spare you any future disappointment, Mr. Worthing, I think it is only fair that I let you know that I'm fully prepared to accept you.
Gwendolen.
Yes, Mr. Worthing? What have you got to say to me?
You know perfectly well what I've got to say to you.
Yes, but you don't say it.
Gwendolen, will you marry me?
Of course I will. Oh, how wrong you have been about it. I'm afraid you haven't had much practice proposing.
Oh, Gwendolen, you're the only woman I've ever loved.
Yes, but I know men practice proposing all the time. My brother Jaeryc does. All my girlfriends tell me so. Oh, what wonderful blue eyes you have, Ernest. I hope you always think of me this way, especially in front of other people.
Mr. Worthing, rise up from the sitting recumbent posture disposed to endeavours.
Mamma, this is no place for you. Mr. Worthing is not quite finished yet.
Finished with what, may I ask?
I am engaged to be married to Mr. Worthing, Mamma.
Pardon me, but you're not engaged to anyone. Should you become engaged to someone, I or your father will inform you of the fact. An engagement should come on a young girl as a surprise, pleasant or unpleasant. It should hardly be a matter she is allowed to arrange for herself. Now, I do believe it would be proper for me to pose some questions to Mr. Worthing. And while I make my inquiries, Gwendolen, you will wait for me in the car.
Mamma.
The car,
Yes, Mamma.
Mr. Worthing,
Thank you, Lady Bracknell. I prefer standing.
I feel bound to tell you that you're not down on my list of eligible young men. I have the same list as the dear Duchess of Houghton has. In fact, we are dear friends and we work together. But if your answers prove satisfactory, I'd be more than happy to add you to my list. Do you smoke?
Yes, I must admit, I smoke.
I'm glad to hear it. A man must always have an occupation of some kind. There are far too many idle men in London as it is. How old are you?
29.
A perfectly respectable age to marry. I'm of the idea that the man who desires to marry should either have everything or nothing. Which do you know, Mr. Worthing?
I know nothing, Lady Bracknell.
I am pleased to hear it. I do not approve of anything that contends with natural ignorance. Ignorance is like a delicate exotic fruit. Touch it to the bloom, it's gone. That's why I find the whole theory of modern education radically unsound. Fortunately, in England, at any rate, it produces no effect whatsoever. If it did, I would be afraid it would lead to active violence from elsewhere. What's your
About 280 to 300,000 a year.
and rather investment?
In investments, chiefly.
Between the duties exacted during one's life and after one's death, land merely gives one position to keep one from keeping it up. It is neither a profit nor a pleasure, and that's all that can be said about that.
Well, I have a country house with some land, of course, attached to it. About 1,500 acres, I believe. Though I do not rely on that for my main income. In fact, as far as I can make out, the poachers are the people who actually make anything out of it.
A country house? How many bedrooms? Never mind that. I do hope you have a house in the city. A simple, unspoiled girl like Gwendolen would not be expected to reside in the country.
Yes, I have one in Belgrave Square, though it is let by the year to Lady Bloxham. Of course, I can get it back at 6 months' notice if I like.
Lady Bloxham, I don't know.
She is considerably advanced in years. She does not go out much.
That hardly shows respectability of character these days. What address in Belgrave Square?
149.
Your fashionable side. I knew something was going to be wrong. But I do suppose that could be altered.
You mean the fashion or the sign?
Both necessary, I presume. Now, what are your politics?
I'm afraid I really have none. I am a liberal unionist.
Oh, they count as the Tories. They come to dinner with us, or come in at the evenings at any rate. Now, Mr. Worthing, down to minor politics. Are your parents living?
I'm afraid I have lost both of my parents.
Mr. Worthing, to lose one parent can be regarded as misfortune. To lose both looks of carelessness. Was your father? Your father seems to be a man of great wealth. Was he born in what the papers call the purple of commerce, or did he rise from the ranks of the aristocracy?
I'm afraid I really don't know. I said I had lost my parents. It would be nearer to the truth to say they lost me. I was found.
Found?
Yes, old Mr. Thomas Cardew, a gentleman of a very kindly and charitable nature, found me and gave me the name of Worthing, for he had a first-class ticket to Worthing in his town, in his pocket at the time. Worthing is a place in Sussex. It is a seaside resort.
And where did this charitable gentleman with a ticket to a seaside resort find you?
In a handbag.
A handbag?
Yes, a somewhat large, black leather handbag with handles to it. An ordinary handbag, in fact.
In what locality did this Mr. Thomas Cardew find this ordinary handbag?
In the cloakroom at Victoria Station.
The cloakroom at Victoria Station?
Yes, the bright room.
The line is material, Mr. Worthing. I must say, I'm quite shocked by what you're telling me. To be born, or at any rate bred, in a handbag serves to show some sort of contempt for the social decencies of family life. It reminds one of the French Revolution, and we both know how that ended. It also serves to conceal a social indiscretion, Mr. Worthing, and it probably has been used for that before, but that can be hardly advisable, and it can be hardly regarded as a position in good society.
Well, might I ask what you recommend I do then? I need hardly say I would do anything in the world to ensure Gwendolen's happiness.
I would recommend you to form some relations, and before the end of the season, make a definite effort to produce one parent of either sex.
I don't see how I can possibly manage to do that. I can produce the handbag at any moment. It is in my dressing room at home. I really think that should satisfy you, Lady Bracknell.
Me, Mr. Worthing? What is it to do with me? Do you think Lord Bracknell and I would dream of allowing our only daughter, a girl brought up with the utmost care, to marry into a cloakroom and form an alliance with a parcel? Good morning, Mr. Worthing.
Good morning. Oh, for heaven's sake, don't play that ghastly tune out here. How idiotic you are!
Didn't it go all right, little boy? You don't mean to say that Gwendolen refused you? I wait, you have. She is always refusing people. I think it's most ill-natured of her.
No, Gwendolen is right as a trivet. As far as she's concerned, we're engaged. Her mother, on the other hand, perfectly unbearable. I've never met such a gorgon. I don't really know what a gorgon is like, but I am sure that she is one. She is a monster without being a myth, which I think is rather unfair. I beg your pardon, Alfie. I suppose I shouldn't talk of your aunt in that way before you.
My dear boy, I love hearing my relations' views. It's the only thing that makes me able to come to the fold. Relations are simply a tedious pack of people who haven't the smallest instinct of how to live, nor the remotest instinct of when to die.
That's nonsense.
It isn't.
Well, I won't argue with that. You always want to argue about things.
That is exactly what things were originally made for.
I swear, if I thought that, I'd shoot myself. Say, you don't think there's any chance of Gwendolen becoming like her mother in about 150 years? Do you, Algernon?
All women become like their mothers. That's their tragedy. No man does. That's his.
What is that? Clever?
It is perfectly phrased. Quite as true as any expression in civilized life would be.
Sick to death of cleverness. Everybody is clever nowadays. You can't go anywhere without meeting clever people. The thing has become an absolute public nuisance. I wish to goodness we had a few fools left.
We have?
I should extremely like to meet them. What did they talk about? The fools?
Oh, about the clever people, of course.
What fools?
By the way, did you tell Gwendolen about your being Ernest in town and Jack in the country?
My dear fellow, the truth isn't the sort of thing one tells to a nice, sweet, refined girl. What extraordinary ideas you have about the way to behave to a woman.
The only way to behave to a woman is to make love to her if she is pretty, and to someone else if she is plain.
Oh, that is nonsense.
What about your brother? What about the profligate Ernest?
Oh, I shall have got rid of him by the end of the week. I'll say he died in Paris of a stroke. Lots of people die of strokes. Quite suddenly, don't they?
Yes, my dear fellow, but it's hereditary. It's the sort of thing that runs in families. You would much better say a severe chill.
And you're sure a severe chill isn't hereditary?
Of course it isn't.
Very well then. My poor brother Ernest, carried off suddenly in Paris by a severe chill. That gets rid of him.
Didn't you say that Miss Cardew was a little too much interested in your poor brother Ernest? Won't you feel his loss a good deal?
That shouldn't be a problem. Cecily is not a silly romantic girl. I'm glad to say. She has a capital appetite, goes on long walks, and pays no attention at all to her lessons.
I would rather like to see Cecily.
I will take very good care that you never do. She is excessively pretty, and she is only just 18.
Does Gwendolen know that you have an excessively pretty woman who is only just 18?
One doesn't blurt these things out. Gwendolen and Cecily are perfectly certain to be the best of friends. I bet you anything you like, half an hour after they have met, they will be calling each other sister.
Women only call each other that after they have called each other a lot of other things first. Now, come. We really must get going if we want to get a good table of bills. You know, it's nearly 7.
Which is always nearly 7.
Well, I'm hungry.
I never knew when you weren't.
What shall we do after this? Would you like to go to the theatre?
No. I hate listening.
Might we go to the club?
No, I hate talking.
Might we drive around the Empire at 10?
Oh, no, I can't bear to look at things. It's so silly.
Then what shall we do?
Nothing.
It is awfully hard work doing nothing. However, I don't mind hard work. There is no definite object in mind. Miss Fairfax. Good heavens, Gwendolen.
Algie, kindly turn your back. I have something very particular to say to Mr. Worthing.
Really, Gwendolen, I don't allow this at all.
Algie, you always adopt a strict and moral attitude towards life, and you will be able to do so yet.
Gwendolen.
Ernest, I fear that we never shall be married. In the look of Mama's face, I fear that we never will. Few parents nowadays pay any regard to what their children have to say to them. The old-fashioned respect for the young is fast dying out. Whatever influence I had on Mama, I lost at the age of 3. But, although she may prevent us from becoming man and wife, although I may marry someone else, and marry often, nothing you can do can alter my eternal devotion to you.
My own one.
The story of romantic origins, told to me from Mama by pleasing comments, has naturally stirred the deep purpose of my nature. Your Christian name has irresistible fascination, and the simplicity of your character remains exquisitely incomprehensible to me. You tell the address of the album I have. What is your address in the country?
The Manor House, Woolton, Hertfordshire.
There's good postal service, I suppose? And this may require doing something desperate, and that will require serious consideration.
Gwen.
I'll communicate with you daily.
month.
How long do you remain in town?
Till Monday.
Good. Algie, you may turn around now.
Thanks, I've turned round already.
You may also ring the bell.
You will let me see you to your cab, darling. A glass of sherry there. Yes, sir. Tomorrow then I'm going to lunch. Yes, sir. You may pack up all my dress coat.
It's so that you can keep your vessel astray.
But is a man not as attractive when he's married?
No married man is ever attractive, except to his wife.
I know you prefer everything.
That depends entirely upon the intellect of the woman. Maturity can be relied upon. Ripeness can be trusted. Young women are great. I spoke horticulturally. I drew my metaphor from fruit. Where is Cecily?
Perhaps she falls to school.
Mr. Worthy.
Mr. Worthy.
Was it right? He's not expecting for Monday afternoon.
I have returned sooner than I expected. Dr. Chasuble, I hope you are well.
I trust that Scarborough has not took some terrible calamity.
My brother!
More shameful debts and extravagance?
Still living his life of pleasure?
Dead.
Your brother Ernest? Dead?
Oh, yes, quite dead.
Well, what a lesson to him. I trust you'll profit by him?
Were you with him at the end?
No, he died abroad. In Paris, in fact. I had an email last night from the manager of the Grand Hotel. Poor Ernest had many faults, but it is still a sad blow.
Very sad indeed. Was the cause of death mentioned?
A severe chill, it seems.
As a man sows, so shall he reap.
Charity, dear Prism, charity. What can be... All of us are susceptible to droughts. Will the interment take place here?
No, he seems to have desired to be buried in Paris.
Paris? That shows little good state of mind. No doubt want me to make some allusion to this on Sunday in my sermon. My sermon on the meaning of man and the world is complete on almost any occasion. Joyful, whereas this one distressing. I've been in hard celebration christenings, marriages, disaffiliation, and the last time I gave it was at charity service.
And I think, dear doctor,
I suppose you know how to christen all right. I mean, of course you are continually christening.
It is, I regret to say, one of the rector's most constant duties in this parish. I've often spoken to the poorer classes on the subject, but they don't seem to know what thrift is.
Is there a particular infant in whom you want to be christened? Your brother was unmarried, was he not?
Yes. Though it is not for any child, dear doctor. No, I'm very fond of children. The fact is, I would like to be christened myself this afternoon, if you have nothing better to do.
Surely, Mr. Worthy has already been christened.
I don't remember anything about it.
Do you have any doubts on the subject?
Oh, I certainly intend to have. Of course, I don't know if the thing would bother you, or if you think I'm a little too old now.
Not at all. A sprinkling of the immersion is all that is very canonical for your age.
The immersion?
Sprinkling is all that's necessary. You need no worries for it. Our weather is so changeable. At what time do you wish it to happen at?
Oh, I thought I might trot round about 5, if that would suit you.
Perfectly. Perfectly. In fact, I have 2 similar ceremonies happening at that time. A case of twins from my outlying countries. Poor Mr. Jenkins, most hard-working mechanic.
No, I don't see much fun in being christened along with other babies. That would be childish. Would 5:30 do?
Admirably. Now, don't let me intrude any longer in this house of woes. What could be a grave thing like this could actually be a blessing in disguise.
It seems to me a blessing of extremely obvious kind.
Uncle Jack!
Oh, Cecily!
Oh, I'm so pleased to see you!
But what sort of clothes have you got on? Do you go change them?
Cecily!
What is the matter, Uncle Jack?
Do you look happy?
You look as if you had a toothache.
And I've got such a wonderful surprise for you. You need to come in the dining room. Your brother!
brother is in the dining room? I don't know what that all means. It's perfectly absurd. Oh, good heavens! Brother John!
I've just come down from I'm terribly sorry for all the trouble I've caused you. I intend to lead a better life in the future.
Uncle Jack? Are you not going to shake hands with Ernest?
Nothing will induce me to take his hand. I think he's coming down here perfectly disgraceful. He knows perfectly well why.
Uncle Jack, do be nice. There is some good in everyone. Ernest has just been telling me about his poor English friend, Mr. Bunbury, who he goes to visit so often. And surely he was fine doing in England, thinks the pleasures of London to sit by his friend Kain as a good person.
He's been talking about Bunbury, has he?
All about poor Mr. Bunbury in his terrible state of health.
Well, I won't have him talk to you about Bunbury, or about anything else for that matter. It is enough to drive one perfectly frantic.
Of course, I admit the faults were all on my side, but I must say, Brother John's coldness to me is peculiarly painful. I expected a more enthusiastic welcome, especially considering it is the first time I've come.
Uncle Jack, if you do not shake hands with Ernest, I will never forgive you.
Never forgive me.
Never, never, never.
Well, this is the last time I shall ever do it.
This is perfect, is it not? See, such a perfect reconciliation. I think we should leave the two brothers alone.
Cecily, you will come with us.
Certainly, Miss Prism, my task of reconciliation is over.
Let's have you three minutes before we are done.
You young scoundrel, Algernon! You have got to leave here! I do not allow Bunbury here!
I put Mr. Ernest things in the room next to you, sir. I suppose that is all right.
What?
Mr. Ernest's luggage, sir. I've unpacked it and put it in the room next to your own.
Oh, his luggage!
Yes. 3 portmanteaus, a dressing case, 2 hat boxes, and a large luncheon basket.
I'm afraid I can't stay more than a week this time.
Merriman, head to the factory at once. Mr. Ernest has been suddenly called back to town.
Yes, sir.
What a fearful liar you are. I'm not called back to town at all.
Oh, yes, you have. Your duty as a gentleman calls you back.
My duty as a gentleman has never interfered with my pleasures in the smallest degree.
Oh, I can quite understand that.
Well, Cecily is a dog.
No! You are not to talk to Miss Cardew like that! I don't like it!
You are perfectly ridiculous, and why on earth did you call it change? It is perfectly ridiculous to be in deep mourning for a man who's actually staying for a whole week in your house as a guest.
No. You are not staying with me for a full week as a guest or anything else! You have got to leave by the 4-5 train!
Certainly won't leave you so long as long morning. Because you're not so friendly. If I were in mourning, you wouldn't leave me, I suppose. I would think it took some time.
Well, will you go if I change my clothes?
Yes. But you must promise to be quick about it. I never have seen anybody take so long to dress in such little result.
Well, that is better than being always overdressed as you are.
If I'm occasionally a little overdressed, I make up for it by always being immensely overrated.
Your vanity is ridiculous, your conduct an outrage, and your presence in my garden utterly absurd! However, you've got to catch the 4-5 back to town, and I hope you will have a pleasant journey. This Bunburying, as you call it, has not been a great success for you. Good day, sir!
Well, I think it has been a great success. I'm in love with Cecily, and that is everything. However, I must see her before I go, and make arrangements for another Bunbury.
Gwendolen, darling.
Ernest, a moment. Are you engaged to be married to this young lady here?
Dear little Cecily. Of course not. What could have put such an idea into your pretty little head?
You may.
I knew there must be some misconception, Miss Fairfax. You see, the man who's on this coach round the waist is my guardian, Mr. John Worthing.
I beg your pardon. This is Uncle Jack. Jack? Here's Ernest. A moment. I didn't get to marry this woman.
To what? Good heavens, Gwendolen.
To good heavens, Gwendolen. I mean, to Gwendolen.
Of course not. What could have put such an idea in your pretty little head?
I was afraid there was some slight error in this plan. The gentleman who met me. Dear friend, his name is Algernon Moncrieff.
Algernon Moncrieff. Oh. Are you really called Algernon?
I cannot deny it.
Is your name really John?
I could deny it if I liked. I could deny anything if I liked. But my name most certainly is John. It has been John for years.
A gross deception has been practiced on the book, as it seems. My poor wounded Cecily, my sweet wronged There's just one question I would like to be allowed to ask my guardian.
An admirable idea. There is just one question I'd like to put to you, Mr. Worthing. Where is your brother Ernest? For we are both engaged to be married to your dear brother Ernest. There's some matter of grave importance to us to know where your brother Ernest is at the present moment.
Gwendolen, Cecily, it is very painful for me to be forced to speak the truth. It is the first time in my life that I have ever been reduced to such a painful position, and I'm really quite inexperienced in doing anything of the kind. However, I will tell you quite frankly that I have no brother Ernest. I've never had a brother, and I certainly have not the smallest intention of ever having one in the future.
No brother at all.
None.
Have you never had a brother of any kind?
Never. Not even of any kind.
It appears to me, Cecily, that none of us is engaged to be married to anyone.
It is not a very pleasant position for a young man to find himself in.
Is it? Come, let us go into the house. You shall not follow us in there.
No, Melissa, we haven't. Aren't they?
Well, this ghastly state of things is what you call bunburying, I suppose!
And a perfectly wonderful Bunbury it is, too. One of the most successful Bunburys of my life.
Well, you've no right whatsoever to Bunbury here!
That's absurd. One has a right to Bunbury wherever one chooses. Every serious Bunbury is for that.
Oh, serious Bunbury! God heavens!
Well, one must be serious about something if one wants to have any amusement in life. I happen to be serious about Bunbury. What you were serious about, I haven't the faintest idea. That's everything, I should suppose. Such an absolutely trivial nature.
Well, the only small satisfaction I have in the whole of this writing business is that your friend Bunbury is quite exploded. You ought to be able to run down to the country quite so often as you used to. And a very good thing, too.
Your brother is a little off colour, isn't he, Jack? You won't be able to go into town quite so often as your wicked custom was. Not a bad thing, either.
As for your conduct towards Miss Cardew, your taking a sweet, simple, innocent girl like that is inexcusable. To say nothing of the fact that she is my ward!
Well, I can see no possible offense for your deceiving a brilliant, clever girl like Miss Fairfax. To say nothing of the fact that she is a dear friend of mine.
I wanted to be engaged to Gwendolen. That is all. I love her.
Well, I simply wanted to be engaged to Cecily. I adore her.
Well, there is certainly no chance of that happening.
Well, I can see no possible reason for you and Miss Fairfax being united.
That is no matter to you.
If it was my matter, I wouldn't talk about it. It's very vulgar to talk about one's business. People only do that at dinner parties.
How can you sit there, calmly eating muffins, when we are in this current of trouble? I can't make out. You seem to me to be perfectly harmless.
I can't eat muffins in an agitated manner. The butter would get on my cuffs.
I say it's perfectly harmless for eating muffins at all under the circumstances.
When I am in trouble, eating is the only thing that consoles me. Indeed, when I am in really great trouble, as anyone who knows me intimately will tell you, I refuse everything except food and drink. Besides, I'm particularly fond of them.
Well, that is no reason why you should eat them all in that greedy way.
I wish you would take the tea cake. I don't like tea cake.
I suppose a man may not eat his own muffins in his own garden!
You just said it was perfectly harmless to eat muffins.
I said it was perfectly harmless of you under the circumstances. This is a very different thing.
That may be. But the muffins are the same.
Algernon, I wish you would go.
You can't possibly expect me to go without having some sort of dinner first. It's absurd. Nobody ever goes without their dinner except vegetarians and people like that. Besides, I have already made arrangements with Dr. Chasuble to be christened at 6:45.
My dear friend, the sooner you give up that nonsense, the better. I made arrangements this morning with Dr. Chasuble to be christened at 5:30, and I naturally will take the name of Ernest. Gwendolen would wish it so.
We can't both be christened Ernest, that'd be absurd. Besides, I have a perfect right to be christened if I like. There's no evidence at all that I've ever been christened. I should think it extremely probable that I never was. And so does Dr. Chasuble. You, on the other hand, you're an entirely different matter. You've been christened already.
Yes, but I haven't been christened for years.
Yes, but you haven't been christened. That is the important thing.
Right, so I know my constitution can stand it. If you are not so quite sure about your record in being christened, I'd say it's rather dangerous you're venturing upon it now. It might make you very unwell. You can't forget that you just recently had a relative die in Paris of a severe chill.
But you said yourself that a severe chill wasn't hereditary.
It used to be, I know. But I dare say it is now. Science is always making wonderful improvements and things.
It is nonsense. It's all nonsense!
Jack, you're at the muffins again. I wish you wouldn't. I've already told you I'm particularly fond of muffins.
Algernon, I have asked you to leave. I do not want you here! So, why don't you go?
I haven't finished my muffin.
Mr. Welly, I have a question for you. Much depends on your reply. Wow.
Mr. Moncrieff, there is just one question I would like to be put to you. Why did you pretend to be my guardian's brother?
In order that I may have the opportunity of meeting you.
It's amazing. Yes, dear. I don't. Not.
Mr. Welly, what explanation can you provide for me, to me, pretending to have a brother? Or so you could come up to town as often as possible to see me?
Can you doubt it, Miss Fairfax?
I have the greatest doubt on the subject.
Mr. Moncrieff's answer.
Yes, I mean,
No!
right. So laws, duties, and principles that are unmistakable, do not shred out. What would you wish to happen? It's not as it has. Can you see to save time? You really don't do, Cecily. I really always think the same things other people. From you to be kind of Your Christian names are an insuperable barrier. That is all.
Our Christian names? Is that all? But we're going to be christened this afternoon!
For my sake, you prepared to do this terrible thing.
I am.
To please me, you're ready to face this fearful ordeal.
I am.
Oh, how absurd of us to talk about the inequality of the sexes. For matters of self-sacrifice are concerned, men are just infinitely beyond us.
We are? I mean, we are!
Men have women's physical courage, but we women never understand.
Oh, darling.
Come.
Lady Bracknell.
Oh, good heavens!
Gwendolen, what does this mean?
Merely the time engaged to Mr. Worthing, Mamma.
Come here. Sit down. Sit down and eat. The completion of any crisis, I have left clearly all the physical weakness in the eye. Try, sir, why don't you sympathize, whose confidence I can ascribe to estimate of a small point. Rather was under the impression that she would more than usually make the lecture at the university on the extension of the scheme on the thought of income. I do not propose to undeceive them, in fact. I never undeceive them with anything. I consider it wrong. But you must know, Mr. Worthing, that all communications between you and on this point, as on all points I prefer.
I'm engaged to be married to Gwendolen Lady Bracknell.
You are nothing of the kind. Now as regards to Algernon. Algernon. May I ask if this is the house that you're in with and Mr. Bunbury reside?
Bunbury? No, actually, no Bunbury this afternoon. I mean, poor Bunbury died this afternoon.
What did he die of?
Oh, Bunbury. He was quite exploded.
Oh? Was he the victim of a revolutionary outrage? I had no idea that Mr. Bunbury was any part of social legislation. If so, he is well punished for it.
My dear Aunt Augusta, I mean, he was found out. The doctors found that he could not live anymore, so he died.
He seems to have had a great confidence in his physicians. I am glad, however, that he made some decision of some kind. Now that we are rid of this Mrs. Bunbury, Mr. Worthing, I have a question to ask you. Who is this
young girl who was on the arm of my name Algernon looked seems to me to be a particularly inappropriate manner.
That lady is Miss Cecily Cardew, my ward.
I'm engaged to be married to Cecily, Aunt Augusta.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Moncrieff. I must tell you I'm quite shocked by what you're telling me. There must be something in the air that's particularly hard. This is for our time. Now, Mr. Worthing, I have some questions to ask you about Cecily. Is she in any way connected to any of the large railway stations in London? Before yesterday, I didn't know that anyone was connected with them, or let alone know the origin of the term.
Cecily Cardew is the granddaughter of the late Mr. Thomas Cardew of 149 Belgrave Square, Gervase Park, Dorking, Surrey, and the Sporran, Fifeshire, North Britain.
3 addresses always inspires confidence. Even in tradesmen, what but I am their authenticity.
The court guides of the period have been carefully preserved. They are open to your inspection, Lady Bracknell.
I have no stranger as an application.
Her family solicitors are Messrs. Markby, and Markby.
Mrs. Markby and Markby. One of the Mr. Markbys comes to dinner with us sometimes. So far, I must say I am satisfied.
Oh, how extremely kind of you, Lady Bracknell. I have also in my possession, you will be pleased to hear, certificates of Miss Cardew's birth, baptism, whooping cough, registration, vaccination, and the measles, both the German and English varieties.
A life crowned with incident. I am of the idea that the young girl should not be exposed to premature experiences. Gwendolen, here we must be going. We have already missed very many trains, and I don't want to be exposed to comment on the platform. But, before we go, may I ask Miss Cardew has any conclusions?
Only about £21 million in the funds. That is all, Lady Bracknell.
£21 million in funds? Miss Cardew seems to me to be the most attractive young lady I've ever known. She seems to have some really solid qualities, the qualities that last. I regret to say, we live in an age of service, and many girls these days don't. Come here, dear. Your dress is sadly simple, and your hair seems almost as nature might have left it. But I do know of a thoroughly experienced French maid who produces a marvelous effect. She did help my dear friend Lady Lansing, and after 3 months her own husband did not even recognize her.
So after 6 months, nobody knew her.
Kindly turn round, sweet child. No, dear. Silence. Just as Miss Cardew has distinct social possibilities in the profile. Chin a little higher. Style largely different from the chin of women around here, but she was working very hard. Algernon.
Yes, Aunt Augusta.
Miss Cardew has distinct social possibilities in her profile.
Cecily is the sweetest, prettiest girl I've ever met. And I don't give 2 pence about social possibilities.
Algernon, do not speak poorly of this society. Only people cannot get into it. Miss Cardew, you must know that all that Algernon has to rely upon are his debts. And I am not in favour of mercenary business. But when I was engaged to Lord Bracknell, I had no fortune of my own, and I that's nothing. I must consent.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Come sit and kiss me, Cecily. You may call me Aunt Augusta. Thank you, Aunt Augusta. I usually do that.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
I'm not in favour of long engagements. They give people time to get to know each other before marriage, and I do not find that right.
I beg your pardon for interrupting you, Lady Bracknell, but as I am Miss Cardew's guardian, she cannot marry without my consent. That consent I absolutely decline to give.
I do not see why that would be. Algernon is an ostentatiously elderly young man. He has nothing although he looks at everything. What more could one desire?
I am terribly sorry to have to speak frankly to you, Lady Bracknell, about your nephew. But I'm afraid I do not approve at all of his moral character. I suspect him of being untruthful.
Untruthful, my nephew Algernon? Why, of course not. He is not solely.
I'm afraid there can be no possible doubt about the matter. Yesterday afternoon, during my temporary absence in London, he gained admission to my home on the false pretense of being my brother. Under an assumed name, he drank, as I've been informed by my butler, an entire pint bottle of Perrier Jouet 89 Brut, wine that I was specially reserving for myself. He subsequently, in the afternoon, succeeded in alienating the affections of my only ward. He then stayed to tea and devoured every single muffin. And what makes his conduct all the more outrageous is that he knew from the first that I have no brother, that I've never had a brother, and that I have not the slightest intention of ever having one in the future. I specifically told him so myself yesterday afternoon.
After careful consideration, I've decided to entirely disregard everything you've just told me about my nephew.
How extremely kind of you, Lady Bracknell. My decision, however, is unalterable. I decline to give my consent.
Cecily, how old are you? Very good, child. It looks so calculating when a woman is honest about her age. 18, admitting to something. You'll soon be of age and out of the restraints of tutelage, and able to make this decision for yourself, and your guardian's opinion on the matter will make we have no influence.
I beg your pardon for interrupting you once again, Lady Bracknell, but it is stated in Mr. Thomas Cardew's will that Cecily is not to come of age till she is 35.
I see no reason in that. 35 is a very attractive age. In fact, many women in London high society choose to remain 35 for years. My dear friend Lady Doubleton is a great example of that. She has been 35 ever since her 40th birthday, and that's been many years ago now. I cannot see why Cecily cannot be even more attractive at that age. There will be a large accumulation of property.
Algie, could you reach me until I was 35?
Of course I could, Cecily. You knew I could.
Yes, I know that. I felt it instinctively, but I don't think I can wait that long. I hate waiting in 5 minutes for everything. I find it makes me another course, and I know I myself am not punctual, but I've had punctuality in others, and waiting, even to be married, is quite out of the question.
What is to be done, Cecily?
I'm not sure it's good.
As Miss Cardew has pointed out, in what seems to me a particularly impatient manner, Mr. Worthy, that she cannot wait until she is 35. There must be something we can do.
Oh, but the matter is entirely in your own hands, Lady Bracknell. The moment you consent to my marriage with Gwendolen, I will most gladly allow Algernon to form an alliance with my ward.
What you suggest is out of the question.
Then a passionate celibacy is all that any of us can look forward to.
That is not the destiny I propose for Gwendolen. Algernon can make that decision for himself. Come, dear, we have already missed 5 if not 6 trains, and we're going to be subject to public comment on the fact that Dr. Chasuble.
Everything is quite ready for the christening.
The christening, sir, is that not quite premature?
Both these gentlemen have had a desire for immediate baptism.
Baptism at their age? Seems grotesquely irreligious. Algernon, I forbid you to be baptized. Lord Bracknell wrote the way to spend your time on it in extremely useful.
So there won't be any christenings today.
No, I don't think that as things are now, it would be of much use to either of us.
It's very sad to hear that, Mr. Worthing. But if you'll excuse me, I've been told by the new pupil that Miss Prism is pretty late.
Miss Prism? Did I hear you mention Miss Prism?
Yes, Lady Bracknell?
Pray allow me to take it from her. Is this Miss Prism a female of repellent aspect in any way connected with education?
Yes, she's the most respectable of ladies.
And what position does she hold in your household?
I'm a Sultan.
Lady Bracknell, Miss Prism has been, for the last 3 years, Miss Cardew's esteemed governess and valued companion.
This must be the same person. Let her be sent for.
She approaches. She's 9.
There you are, dear Canon. Miss Prism. Miss Prism, come here immediately. Miss Prism, 28 years ago, you were left in charge of a perambulator that contained a baby of the male sex. You went on a walk and never returned. After the elaborate investigations of the Metropolitan Police, the perambulator was found in a remote corner of Bayswater. However, all that was in the perambulator was a manuscript of more than usually revolting sentimentality, but the baby was nowhere to be found. Miss Prism, where is that baby? Lady Bracknell, I'm ashamed that
I do not know. I only wish I did. The facts of the matter are these. On the morning of the day that you had mentioned, I had taken the baby out as usual in his perambulator. And I also had with me a somewhat old but capacious handbag and a manuscript that I had worked on in my few unoccupied hours. And during a moment of mental abstraction, for which I can never forgive myself, I placed the baby in the handbag and the manuscript in the perambulator.
But where did you deposit the handbag?
Don't ask me, Mr. Worthing.
Oh, Miss Prism, this claim has not of small importance to me. I demand to know where you deposited that handbag.
In a cloakroom of one of the larger railway stations in London.
Which railway station?
Victoria. The Brighton line.
I must retire to my room for a moment. Gwendolen, wait here for me.
If you're not too long, I will be waiting here for you all my life.
What do you think this means, Lady Bracknell?
I can hardly say. Prisoners are not supposed to carry feathers of the other ones. They are hardly
Uncle Jack seems strangely actually.
I do hope this will stop soon. I do argument, and I just like arguments. They're often bolder and convincing.
Oh, it has stopped now.
I think we'll be right so.
The suspense is terrible. What will last?
Is this the handbag, Miss Prism? Examine it carefully before you speak. The happiness of more than one life depends on your answer.
It seems to be mine. Yes, here's an injury received from an incident with an omnibus in Gleason. And here, the scene was caused by an explosion of a temperance beverage, an incident which occurred in Leamington. Oh, and I'd forgotten. In one of my more extravagant moods, I'd had this lock placed here with my initials. Mr. Worthing, this bag is undoubtedly mine, and I'm delighted to have it so unexpectedly restored to me.
Miss Prism, this handbag isn't the only thing that is restored to you. I was the baby that you placed inside it.
You?
Yes. Mother!
Mr. Worthing! I am unmarried!
Unmarried? Oh, I do not deny that is a serious blow, but who has a right to cast a stone against one who has suffered? Cannot repentance wipe out an act of folly? Why should there be one law for men and another for women? Oh, Mother, I forgive you!
Mr. Worthing, seems to be some mistake. There's the woman who can tell you who you really are.
Lady Bracknell, I hate to seem inquisitive, but would you kindly inform me of who I am?
I'm afraid what I have to tell you will be extremely disappointing to you. You are the dear son of my friend Mrs. Moncrieff, and consequently, Algernon will love that.
I'm Algernon's elder brother. Then I have a brother after all! Oh, I always knew I had a brother! Cecily, how could you have even doubted that I had a brother? Oh, Dr. Chasuble, my unfortunate brother! To this prison, my unfortunate brother! Gwendolen, that is my unfortunate brother! Algernon, you young scoundrel. You will have to treat me with more respect in the future. You have not behaved to me like a brother a day in your life.
Well, not till today, old boy. So I admit, I've been out of practice.
My own, but what own are you now that you've become entirely someone else?
Oh, I'd quite forgotten that point. Your opinion on the subject is irrevocable, I suppose.
My affections never change. What a noble nature you have, Gwendolen.
Then the question has got to be cleared up at once. Aunt Augusta! How moment did you was? When I was deposited in that handbag, had I been christened already?
Every Every luxury that money can buy had been lavished on you by your fond and doting parents, including christening.
Then I was christened! That settles that! Oh. What name was I given? Let me know the worst.
Being the oldest, you're naturally christened after your father.
Yes, but what was my father's Christian name?
At the present moment, I cannot recall, although I do know he had a name. Your father was a very eccentric man, especially in his later years. And that was due to marriage and indigestion, Indian climate, and other things of the sort.
Algernon, can't you recollect what our father's Christian name was?
My dear boy, we were never even on speaking terms. He died before I was a year old.
Well, he would appear in the army list period, I suppose, on Augusta?
The general was usually a man of peace, except in his domestic life, but he would appear in any military directory.
The military directories of the last 100 years are here! Oh, these delightful stuff! What should have been my constant study? Generals. Mount Maximum, Margley. Oh, what ghastly names they have! Barkley, Mixby, Bobs, Moncrieff! Lieutenant, 1961. Captain, Colonel, Lieutenant, General! 1990. Christian names, Ernest, John. I always told you, Cecily. Gwendolen. My name was Ernest, didn't I? Well, my name is Ernest. I mean, it naturally is Ernest!
Ernest! The general's name is Ernest. I knew I had some particular reason for disliking him.
Oh yes, my own Ernest.
Gwendolen, it is a terrible thing for a man to learn that all his life he has been speaking nothing but the truth. Could you ever forgive me?
I can, for I'm sure you will change.
My own one.
Letitia.
Frederick, at last.
Cecily, darling.
Gwendolen, at last.
My nephew, you seem to be displaying signs of triviality.
On the contrary, Aunt Augusta, for the first time in my life, I've discovered the vital importance of being earnest.